The night sky over the desert was quiet, until something tore through it. A streak of silver fire flashed above the dunes, followed by a loud boom. Something had entered Earth's atmosphere. It wasn't a meteor. It was a ship, and it was crashing. Miles away, a young alien girl named Valari struggled with her ship's controls. Sparks flew around her as the cockpit lights blinked in warning. Her sleek silver vessel, designed for stealth, had taken heavy damage after a failed warp jump. The power core was overheating and her navigation system was fried. Stabilizers offline. Descent uncontrolled, the ship's voice warned. Valari gritted her teeth and braced herself. Find me the nearest landmass, any place with metal. I need parts. The AI scanned rapidly and chose an isolated place, somewhere called Earth. The planet was marked as primitive in Shirellan databases, but it had plenty of scrap and no known space defense. It was her best chance. With a crash loud enough to scare off every wild creature for miles, Valari's ship buried itself into the sand near an old human scrapyard on the planet's surface. The next morning, Eli Carter stood in his rusted boots, sipping coffee beside a pile of broken engines. He had owned the scrapyard for 5 years, ever since his father passed it on. Most people ignored this dusty place, thinking it was full of junk. But Eli saw more. Machines had stories, and he liked fixing what others threw away. He looked up. A huge trail had been burned across the sky. And then he heard something, metal grinding, a faint hum, and then silence. Eli set his cup down and grabbed a wrench. Curiosity was a habit he never kicked. When he reached the edge of his property, he saw something half buried in sand. Smooth silver and not like any aircraft he'd ever seen. What in the... Then, a panel hissed open. Valari stepped out slowly, her hood up to hide her large, glowing eyes and pale skin. She carried a small scanning tool and looked around carefully. Her translator began running. "Don't panic," she said in broken English. "I'm just here for parts." Eli blinked. "You're not from around here." "I'm a traveler." "Emergency landing," Valari said quickly. She hoped he would be simple-minded enough to believe it, but Eli didn't laugh or shout. He studied the ship, then her tools. "You're not here for sightseeing." Valari paused. No, she expected fear, maybe anger. Instead, Eli motioned to the scrapyard. "You're lucky," he said. "I've got plenty of spare parts. Show me what you need." Valari followed him through rows of rusted metal, broken vehicles, and cracked solar panels. Her scanner beeped softly, locking onto compatible energy coils and outdated engine regulators. Surprisingly, many of Earth's components were adaptable, something she hadn't expected. Eli walked beside her, casually tossing a pipe into a barrel. "So what kind of traveler are you?" he asked. Valari hesitated. "Scientific. I study planetary systems." He nodded. "We don't get many visitors." "Let me guess. Your power drive's busted." Her eyes widened. "How do you know that?" "I've built a few things in my time. Just because we're earthbound doesn't mean we're clueless." Valari stared at him curious. His hands were rough and his clothes smelled of oil, but he moved like someone who understood machines. She glanced at the messy workbench behind him. Custom tools, half-built circuits, and something that looked dangerously close to a fusion stabilizer. How did a human know how to make that? "You're skilled," she admitted. Eli chuckled. "I get by. I like fixing things." For the first time, Valari saw humans in a different way. Not as dangerous or chaotic as her people. Had warned her, but resourceful, creative, calm under pressure. She picked up a converter and looked at him. "Can I trade for this?" Eli tilted his head. "You don't have to trade. You're in trouble, right? I help people when they're in trouble." "Why?" she asked, genuinely confused. Eli shrugged. "Because it's the right thing to do." Valari didn't reply. That logic didn't exist on her world, where deals were made through ranks and favors. No one helped for free. That night, Valari sat under a makeshift shelter near her ship, running scans on the parts she had collected. They were crude, but with some effort, they would work. Eli brought over a flashlight and a warm thermos. "Didn't think aliens got cold," he joked. "I am not cold," she replied, but took the thermos anyway. They sat in silence for a moment, stars above them, the scrapyard quiet except for the hum of cooling metal. Valari looked at him. Really looked. There was something about this human. His calmness, his kindness, his strange ability to see possibilities in broken things. Maybe this planet wasn't as primitive as she thought. Maybe humans weren't either. The next morning, the desert was bright and hot. Valari woke early and went to the edge of the scrapyard where her ship waited, half buried in sand. The metal gleamed under the sun, but she knew it needed much work. The power core was still damaged, and without repair she could not leave this strange planet. She looked around and saw Eli already working in his small workshop nearby. His hands moved quickly, fixing an old engine part with tools she did not recognize. Valari felt a strange mix of hope and doubt. Could this human really help her fix advanced alien technology? She took a deep breath and walked toward him. "Eli," she said carefully, "I need help." Eli smiled without looking up. "I figured. What can I do?" Valari handed him a small broken device, the ship's power regulator. It looked complicated, but also fragile. Eli turned it over in his hands. "I don't know much about alien tech, but I can try. Sometimes things from different worlds can work together." Valari watched as he pulled out small tools and began to carefully open the device. His fingers were sure and steady. It was clear Eli loved working with machines, no matter their origin. "Tell me more about your ship," Eli said, peering inside. The device. Valari explained how the ship's core worked and the damage it had suffered. She spoke slowly, trying to make sure he understood the basics. Eli listened with interest. "Sounds like you need parts Earth doesn't have." "Yes. But maybe we can find a way to fix it," she said, hope rising. For hours, they worked, side by side. Valari learned about human tools and Eli studied her explanations. They shared ideas and tried different ways to make the power regulator work again. Every time a piece clicked into place, Valari's heart beat faster. She was amazed at how quickly Eli adapted to something so foreign. "Your people must be proud to have you," Valari said quietly. Eli looked up, surprised. "Thanks. I guess I'm just a regular guy, though." "No," Valari said firmly. "You have skill. You are Patya, and you are creative." They took breaks to drink water and eat simple food. Valari watched Eli's calm attitude, how he treated even small mistakes as lessons. On her homeworld, failure was punished. Here, it seemed to be part of learning. As the sun began to set, the power regulator finally worked. It hummed softly in Eli's hands. "We did it," he said, smiling. Valari felt a warmth inside, not just from success, but from something deeper. "I am impressed, human," she said. "Your world has more than I expected." Eli shrugged. "We get by with what we have. Sometimes that's enough." That evening, Valari and Eli sat near the ship, testing parts and making plans. Valari's translator helped them talk, but often they communicated with gestures and smiles. Suddenly, Valari's scanner beeped softly. "Energy readings," she said. "Nearby ship detected." Eli frowned. "That can't be good." Valari nodded. "My people have patrol ships. They track unauthorized travelers." Eli looked at her seriously. "You need to hide." Valari's eyes widened. "I cannot leave yet. The ship is not ready." Eli stood and looked around the scrapyard. "I have an idea." He led Valari to a pile of old machinery and scrap metal. "We can build a shield, something that hides your ship from sensors." Valari raised an eyebrow. "You mean like camouflage?" "Yes," Eli said. "It's not perfect, but it might buy us time." They worked through the night. Valari was surprised at Eli's determination. Together, they built a makeshift shield from old parts and energy reflectors scavenged nearby. By dawn, the shield was in place. Valari scanned the area again. No signs of patrols. Eli smiled. Let's hope it lasts. Over the next days, Valari and Eli grew closer. They talked about their lives, their worlds, and their dreams. Valari shared stories of the stars and alien empires. Eli told her about Earth's history, its wars, its peace, and the endless human drive to keep going no matter what. Valari began to see humans differently, not as wild or dangerous, but as survivors who found strength in hope and kindness. 1. Afternoon, Valari asked. Why do you help me? You don't know me. Eli looked thoughtful. Because I believe everyone deserves help, no matter where they come from. Valari smiled softly. That is different from my people. Eli shrugged. Maybe it's what makes us human. Then, one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Eli took out a small device from his pocket. This is something I made, he said. It helps connect machines. Maybe it can help your ship. Valari took the device carefully. It was simple but elegant, made with care. She looked at Eli with new respect. Thank you, she said. Eli smiled. You're welcome. We might be different, but maybe we can work together. Valari felt a strange feeling inside, something like hope, but stronger. As night fell, Valari looked up at the stars from beside her ship. She thought about her mission, about the rules of her people, and about the human who had helped her. Maybe this planet wasn't just a place for spare parts. Maybe it was a place to learn. Maybe humans were not the simple beings she once believed. Days passed under the scorching sun and cool nights of Earth's desert. Valari worked with Eli, slowly repairing the damaged parts of her ship. She had expected a harsh, rough planet full of dangers, but instead found a quiet place filled with hard work and kindness. One afternoon, as they took a break from fixing the power core, Eli pulled out an old photo album. The pages were yellow and worn, but the images told stories. People from my world, Eli said softly, showing pictures of families, friends, and celebrations. Valari looked closely. The humans smiled with warmth, their eyes shining with joy. This was very different from the cold images her people showed her, humans as wild and unpredictable. What are these? She asked. Moments of hope, Eli replied. Even in hard times, we find reasons to smile, to care. Valari was silent. She had always thought of humans as dangerous, unable to control their emotions or actions, but here was proof of something else, something deeper. That night, Valari sat beside the fire Eli had built. The orange glow danced on her pale skin as she thought about what she had learned. Humans are surprising, she said softly. Eli smiled. We have flaws, sure, but we also have heart. Valari nodded slowly. She realized that her training had been incomplete. Her people looked only at strength and control. They did not understand the power of kindness or hope. Tell me more, Valari asked. Eli leaned back and began to tell stories. Stories of struggle, of people who fought not with weapons, but with courage and unity. He told her about Earth's darkest times when nations fought wars yet still worked together to build peace. He spoke of artists, scientists, and everyday people who changed the world by simply caring. Valari listened, fascinated. She felt her beliefs shift. Maybe strength was not only about power, but also about spirit. The next morning, Eli brought a small radio device. This is how we talk across distances, he said. Communication is key for survival. Valari examined the radio, amazed at how simple technology connected so many people. On her world, communication was limited and controlled. Here, humans shared ideas freely. She picked up the radio, turning the dial slowly. Hello? She said, testing the device. Static answered. Eli laughed. It takes practice. Valari smiled. I want to learn. As the days went on, their work progressed. Valari taught Eli about alien technology, the way energy flowed through circuits, the importance of precise control. Eli taught Valari about human tools and problem solving. When something did not work, they tried again. Sometimes they failed, but they never gave up. Valari admired this. On her planet, failure was shame. Here it was a step toward success. One evening, while testing a repaired engine part, Valari looked at Eli. "Your patience is unusual." Eli shrugged. "When you care about something, you don't give up easily." Valari thought of her own world's rules. Maybe they were too harsh. Maybe kindness could be stronger than fear. But the peaceful days were not to last. One afternoon, Valari's scanner beeped urgently. "Patrol ships detected," she warned. Eli frowned. "They must be coming for you." Valari nodded, worry in her eyes. "They want to bring me back to erase all evidence." Eli's face hardened. "Not if I can help it." Together, they prepared. Eli showed Valari how to hide using simple tricks: mirrors to bend light, metal scraps to confuse sensors. Valari felt a new kind of hope. This human wasn't just skilled, he was brave. When the patrol ships arrived, Eli used his knowledge of the scrapyard to confuse them. He led them on a chase through the maze of broken machines. Valari watched from her hiding spot, amazed. The patrols were trained warriors, but Eli's clever trap slowed them down. They got lost and frustrated. After hours, the ships finally left, scanning the horizon one last time. Valari stepped out, grateful. "You saved me," she said softly. Eli smiled. "We saved each other." That night, under the vast stars, Valari felt something new. A connection not just to Eli, but to humanity itself. She thought about her mission, her people's orders. Was Earth really a backward planet, as they claimed? Or was it a place where strength came from heart and hope? Valari smiled. Maybe she had found more than spare parts on this strange world. Maybe she had found a reason to believe. The days following the failed patrol visit were filled with quiet, work, and growing trust between Valari and Eli. The ship's power core was slowly coming back to life piece by piece. Valari's hope grew with each repaired part. She could feel the strength returning beneath her fingers, but the peace was fragile. One late afternoon, while Eli was deep inside his workshop tuning an old engine, Valari's scanner beeped urgently. She froze, eyes wide. The signal was different, this time, stronger and closer. "Eli," she called, her voice tense. "Patrol ships. They're back, and they're coming fast." Eli wiped his hands and followed her outside. The sky was clear, but soon tiny dots appeared on the horizon, sleek, dark ships cutting across the blue. "They mean business," Eli said, his tone serious. Valari's heart raced. This time, the patrol wasn't just a search party. They were coming to capture her. "We must hide your ship. Now," Valari said, urgency sharp in her voice. Eli nodded and ran to gather his tools. "I have a plan. Follow me." He led Valari through the scrapyard's narrow aisles, weaving past piles of rusted metal and broken machines. They reached a hidden pit Eli had dug months ago, covered by old panels and scrap. "Your ship's too big to move," Eli said, "but we can hide it here." Valari scanned the pit. It was deep and dark, enough to shield the ship from scanners if covered properly. Together they pushed heavy metal sheets and old machinery to camouflage the pit. Dust rose around them, but they worked quickly, knowing every second counted. As they finished, the patrol ships appeared overhead, their engines humming loudly. Valari watched anxiously. The patrol ships scanned the ground, sending pulses of energy to detect any hidden objects. Eli held his breath. The scanners swept over the pit. No alarms. Eli smiled quietly. So far, so good. But then, one of the patrol ships sent a direct probe toward the scrapyard. It landed with a quiet hiss and began scanning. Eli grabbed a magnetic device and raced toward it. "I can disable it, but you have to cover the ship." Valari nodded. "I'll create an energy shield." She connected some parts of her ship to a power source and activated a weak shield around the scrapyard. The probe's scans faltered, confused by the shield's interference. Eli reached the probe and used his magnetic tool to short-circuit it. The probe died silently. The patrol ship signaled the probe was lost. One by one, the ships began to retreat. Valari let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Eli put a hand on her shoulder. "You'll be safe here, for now." That night, the tension remained. Valari sat beside the half-repaired ship, staring at the stars above Earth. She thought about the patrols. Back home, capture meant imprisonment. The Shirellan Empire was strict. No mercy for those who disobeyed. But here, Eli had fought for her freedom with only his courage and tools. It was something she didn't understand fully. A human fighting not with weapons, but with wits and care. Eli joined her and handed her a small cup of warm drink. "We'll get through this," he said softly. Valari smiled, grateful for his presence. "You risk much for a stranger." "Sometimes," Eli said, "helping others is the most important thing we can do." Valari nodded. Maybe humanity's strength was more than just survival. It was about standing for what was right. The following day, Valari decided to share more about her home. She opened her ship's data crystal and projected images of her planet, a bright world with vast cities and towering towers. Eli stared in wonder. "It looks beautiful." Valari nodded. "But it is also strict. Every action is controlled. There is little room for kindness." Eli shook his head. "That sounds lonely." Valari sighed. "It is. Here I have found something new, maybe even hope." Eli smiled. "You deserve that." Days passed. The ship grew stronger. Valari and Eli worked side by side, sharing skills and stories. She taught him how alien circuits flowed with energy. He showed her how human tools could adapt and fix problems in unexpected ways. One evening, Valari tested the ship's engines. The hum was smoother. The power core glowed faintly, a sign of progress. Eli clapped his hands. "That's good news." Valari smiled, a spark of joy lighting her eyes. But as they celebrated, Valari's scanner beeped again. "Another patrol ship," she said quietly. Eli frowned. "They're persistent." Valari looked toward the stars, determination growing in her heart. "This time," she said, "we will be ready." The desert sun blazed as Valari and Eli worked tirelessly to finish the final repairs. On the ship, the power core was humming steadily and the engines glowed softly with new energy. The ship no longer looked broken. It was almost alive again. Eli wiped sweat from his brow. "This thing is a mix of your technology and mine. Now." Valari smiled, her eyes shining with hope. "Together we made it stronger." She looked at Eli with deep gratitude. This human, who lived in a world so different from hers, had taught her the true meaning of patience and creativity. "You have taught me much," Valari said softly. Eli shrugged. "I'm just good with my hands." "No," she replied firmly. "You see possibilities others miss. That is rare." As they worked, Valari shared stories from her world about the great machines that powered their cities and the strict rules that controlled everything. But she also spoke about the emptiness she sometimes felt, a lack of freedom and kindness. Eli listened carefully. "Sounds like your world needs more of what Earth has. Heart." Valari nodded thoughtfully. "I am beginning to understand that." Later that evening, Eli pulled out a small device he had been working on. It was a simple gadget, but with careful wiring and coding, it could interface with multiple kinds of technology. "This might help you control your ship better," he explained. Valari took the device and examined it carefully. "It is simple, but clever." Eli smiled. "Sometimes simple is best." She connected the device to the ship's core and watched as it adjusted the power flow, stabilizing the energy. The ship's systems brightened, and the humming grew steady and strong. Valari felt a surge of hope. The ship was ready. The next morning, Valari and Eli prepared to test the ship's full systems. But as they worked, Eli noticed a strange figure approaching from the edge of the scrapyard. Who is that? He asked, cautious. Valari's eyes narrowed. I don't know. The figure stepped closer. A human woman, dressed in worn clothes, but with sharp eyes. I heard strange noises here, she said, voice firm. Is everything okay? Eli smiled. This is Valari. She's a traveler. We're fixing her ship. The woman looked surprised. An alien? Valari nodded. Come in peace. The woman studied Valari carefully. Then she smiled softly. I'm Maya. I help lost travelers sometimes. Valari felt warmth. Here was another human willing to help without fear. Maya joined them, bringing food and water. She told stories of Earth's deserts and how people worked together in hard times. Valari listened, feeling a new connection to this planet and its people. But time was short. Valari knew her mission was not over. The patrol ship still searched for her, and she could not stay forever. That night, she looked at the stars and thought about the future. I must leave soon, she told Eli. He nodded. You'll be safe now, thanks to your ship and your new friends. Valari smiled. You have changed my view of humans. I no longer see them as enemies. Eli smiled back. Maybe one day we can visit your world. Before departure, Valari gave Eli a small device, a gift of friendship and gratitude. It was a communication crystal, able to send messages across the stars. For you, she said, so we can stay in touch. Eli accepted it with surprise and pride. They stood together beside the ship, ready for what was next. Valari took a deep breath and stepped inside. With a soft hum, the engines roared to life. The ship lifted gently from the ground, shining under Earth's sun. Valari looked down at the scrapyard, at Eli and Maya waving up at her. She smiled, knowing she was not just leaving with spare parts, but with new hope and respect for humanity. The ship soared smoothly into the sky, cutting through the thin blue atmosphere of Earth. Valari sat in the pilot seat, hands steady on the controls, but her mind was filled with thoughts she had never expected to have. She looked down one last time at the scrapyard where she had found so much more than just spare parts. Eli and Maya waved up at her, smiles wide and hopeful. For a moment, Valari felt a warm ache in her chest, something like friendship. Her mission had been clear when she arrived: repair the ship, gather data about Earth, and report back to the Jirellan Empire. Her people believed Earth was a primitive, weak world, not worthy of respect or concern. But now, after days of working with Eli and meeting Maya, Valari's view had changed. Humans were not weak. They were strong in ways her people did not understand. They were patient, kind, and clever. Valari's heart told her to warn her people, not with judgment, but with understanding. As the ship cruised above the clouds, Valari prepared to send her report. She activated the communication crystal Eli had given her and started to record. Earth is not a threat, she said clearly, but it is a world of resilience, kindness, and unexpected strength. Her fingers hovered over the send button. She hesitated. What if her report brought the Empire's attention, and this fragile world was changed forever? Her eyes moved to the controls. With a deep breath, she chose a different path. Valari turned off the transmission. Instead, she sent a simple message to a hidden channel used by rebel factions in the Empire. Do not underestimate humans, she wrote. They have strengths that cannot be measured by technology or power alone. The message sent, Valari felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She was no longer just a scout or spy. She was a messenger of truth. The ship continued its journey toward the stars. Valari looked at the small device Eli had given her, a symbol of friendship between two very different worlds. Her thoughts drifted to Earth's blue oceans, golden deserts, and the people who lived there. She wondered what her next visit might bring. Back on Earth, Eli returned to his scrapyard, unaware of the choice Valari had made. He smiled as he worked, surrounded by old machines and memories of a strange visitor who had changed his life. Maya stood nearby, watching the sky. Do you think she'll come back? She asked. Eli shrugged. I hope so. Valari's journey was far from over. As her ship disappeared into the vastness of space, she promised herself to learn more about humanity, to understand their strengths, their hearts, and their spirit. Because sometimes, the greatest discoveries are not just about technology, but about people. Valari's ship glided silently through the vast darkness of space, stars sparkling like diamonds around her. The hum of the engines was steady and calm, but inside her a storm of thoughts brewed. Her mission was supposed to be simple: collect data about Earth, report back to the Shiralan Empire, and let them decide the planet's fate. But after days spent on that dusty world meeting Eli and Maya and learning about human strength, Valari's thoughts had changed. She sat quietly, staring at the stars outside the cockpit window. The image of Earth remained vivid in her mind: the harsh deserts, the rusty scrapyard, the warm smiles of two humans who had welcomed her despite knowing so little about her. For the first time, Valari understood something important. Strength was not only about powerful weapons or advanced technology. Strength was about patience in the face of hardship. Strength was about kindness even when it was not expected. Strength was about hope that never died. Valari accessed the communication system again. She opened the message she had started to send to her superiors. The words lay there, ready to go. A report of Earth as primitive, unimportant, and easy to conquer. Her fingers hovered over the send button. Her heart told her otherwise. She could not let this message go. Instead, she wrote a new message. A secret message. One that would reach only a few. Those who opposed the Empire's harsh rules. Humans are not what we feared, she wrote. They are patient and kind. They are clever and strong in ways our Empire does not see. They deserve respect, not destruction. Valari sent the message carefully, encrypting it so only trusted rebels would receive it. The weight on her shoulders lifted. She was no longer just a scout. She was a voice for truth. Far below, Earth continued to spin peacefully. Back on the planet, Eli cleaned his hands after a long day in the scrapyard. His mind wandered to the strange alien visitor who had changed his life in unexpected ways. He smiled, remembering her curious eyes and quiet strength. Maya stood beside him, looking up at the night sky. "Do you think she will come back?" Maya asked softly. Eli nodded slowly. "She will. She saw something special here, so did I." Meanwhile, Valari's ship traveled farther from Earth toward her home planet. She felt ready to face her people and their questions. But now, she carried something new inside her, a respect for humanity and hope for a better future. As stars passed by, Valari made a promise. Next time she came to Earth, it would not be just for spare parts or data. It would be to learn, to understand, and to build a bridge between worlds. Because sometimes, the greatest journeys are not measured in light years, they are measured in hearts.